Hi, Matt with the etrailer. Today we're going to be talking about the Thule ReVert Bike Rack for 4 bikes on the back of our 2024 Jeep Wrangler 4xe. Now this rack is going to be a little bit large, and at first when I was working with it, I thought it was a little hard to actually load up, but working with it some more after figuring out how it actually works, it's actually pretty easy. So I can actually show you that process now. The first thing you want to do is come over here and remove this pin. It's going to have this little cable attached to it. If you have trouble kind of getting it out, just pull on that cable. You pull that pin out. And from here, all you have to do is press on this lever and pull down on the rack. And this is going to be easier the more bikes you actually have on it. Because right now I just have a standard style bike. The one downside is if I try to open up my Jeep door back here, this section here is going to get in my way. So if I do that now, I'll be able to open up a few inches. It's also going to depend on your tire size too. If I had to grab something really small, I might be able to, but it's definitely going to limit you on the back of this. But from here, I can actually unload my bike. And typically when you see a style rack like this, it doesn't have that high of a capacity. This one actually has a capacity of 55 pounds, so it can even handle your lighter e-bikes too. All you have to do to remove this is going to be loosening up these straps here. There's going to be one on the bottom. I'm just going to maintain control of my bike as I undo this. There it is. A lot of times it'll kind of hold itself in place. If we look up here, this really isn't moving at all. If I move it like this, it's kind of just using gravity to hold itself in place. And then I'll just undo this secondary strap. Maintain control of my bike. And it's still pretty much just holding itself there. Really, those straps are more so for when you're driving around. And from here, all I have to do is kind of pick up on it. I like to use my knee to help me out with this process too. And just kind of roll it off and get it off of here. And see, it's really not too bad if you're going to load it up there too. All you have to do is put it in this position, line it up where you want to go, roll it over, just like that. So in all actuality, you're really not picking up your bikes. So if you do have those e-bikes, this will work really nicely. And getting this back into place is actually pretty easy since we have this gas strut here. I'll just press down on that. And it'll lift up. I will say though, when you're initially getting that down to load up your bikes, because you could try to load them up like this, and that's what I originally tried, and you can do it, it's just a little bit difficult. I'd rather do it the other way, but to do that, you're going to have to bring this down, and since we have that gas strut, we're going to have that initial tension behind here, so a lot of people will just kind of put their foot on here and pull this back, just like that. And kind of using your body weight and that extra tension from your foot can help this kind of go into place. And from here, we can get a few measurements. The first measurement I'm going to get is when the total distance away from our vehicle it sits. This is going to be just about a little bit over 21 inches. So that's pretty good. Now, of course, when you have your bikes on here, they're going to sit a lot further out, and it's really just going to depend on their size. But with it unloaded, that's what it's going to look like. Now, from the furthest point out, for our ground clearance, this is going to sit just about at a little bit under 23.5 inches, which is great. Since this does kind of round up, we're going to be less likely making contact with the ground if you're on uneven types of terrains, like if you're going up a driveway or any type of off-roading situation. This should still be good. Let's also get another measurement. This measurement I'm going to get now is just going to be from the back of this to our bumper. The reason why I want to get that is just kind of give you an idea how much space we have back here. That's going to be about 11 inches or maybe a little bit under that. That kind of lets you know if your tire is going to work with this rack. In most cases, this should work with most. I can actually read off that tire size now. We have a 255, 60, or a 20. So if yours is around that size, or even a decent amount larger, it should still fit. And this is going to block just a little bit on the back of the vehicle. Of course, we're blocking a little bit of this back window over here. Not too much. I'd still rely on maybe using your mirrors. And kind of talking about that too, Your backup camera is going to be kind of blocked here in the center, but all around it you'll be able to see, except for where this rod sits as well. Again, you'll still mostly be able to see out of that, but still recommend relying on your mirrors to back up. And as far as everything else, like your taillights and your license plate, that's not going to be blocked. Now, when you have the different size of this, that's going to be able to carry 6 bikes instead of 4 like the one we have now. It's going to have all the same features. The only difference is it sticks out a little bit further. You might block a little bit of your taillights, but it won't obstruct them. And the way it's going to install is we're going to have this 2-inch shank that's going to go into your 2-inch hitch receiver. And we're going to have this hook that goes into your pinhole. I like this style. It just makes it a lot easier to work with. You can actually pull that out and just fully pull it out like that. Now, to actually pull it out, you have to make sure you loosen everything. Also, make sure this gets into that hole correctly. There we go. And that's going to be at the back of this bike rack. If I pull this over, you'll notice this has a lock core on it. And here's the key with it. You can actually lock this into place. And what this is doing is being an anti-rattle device. So if I try to pull it out right now, it won't come out. I'll have to loosen this up just by turning this knob back here. That'll loosen it up and allow me to pull it out completely. And vice versa, I can tighten it down. If I reach a spot where it's kind of difficult to do that, I can just pull that out and just rely on one side. And afterwards, I can tighten it down the rest of the way and then lock it into place. In my opinion, I think this is a solid rack for carrying your bikes, especially if you are looking for something that's going to be a little bit easier to load your heavy e-bikes, because all you have to do is pull up your bike and then roll it into place. But there are some downsides to this with how it works with the Jeep. And that's going to be 2 things. And that's going to be, 1, this is a pretty heavy rack. You're going to probably want to grab a friend to help you load this. And it's going to take up a lot of space in your garage. Now, if you do plan on keeping this full-time on the back of your Jeep, that's fine too. The one downside to that, though, is you're really not going to be able to access that back of the Jeep because, as you saw earlier, our door is going to make contact with the back of the rack. So if you're looking for another option that does a really good job of working with your Jeep and is going to allow you to more easily load up those heavy e-bikes, then I'd actually recommend the Rocky Mountain Gigawatt Bike Rack. And that's going to be a different style rack. It's going to be more of a platform style. And that's going to have an included ramp. So that's just going to make the process of loading that bike into place pretty easy. Not quite as easy as this, but close. But really it's just going to depend on what kind of style you like more and how often you're going to be removing this from the back of your Jeep. But that was just a look at the Thule ReVert Bike Rack on the back of our 2024 Wrangler 4xe. Now, just let us know what your experience is with this rack, if you are using it with your Jeep, and whether or not you like it a lot, or what kind of bikes you're riding and what kind of journeys that's including. But again, I'm Matt. Thanks for watching.